Princess Mononoke does something amazing. Okay, Princess Mononoke does a lot of amazing somethings, and I wish that I could talk about all of them. But what I really want to focus on in this video is the complex lens through which Mononoke views evil. When I finished my first viewing of Mononoke, I was confused. Honestly, I came away from the movie not loving it that much, mostly because I had no idea what the hell I just watched. All of the cues indicating the triumph of good against the scourge of evil that are present in traditional American movies were completely absent in this movie, and I had no idea how to feel after the dust settled and the credits rolled. To explain what I'm talking about when I say the cues indicating good and evil, I'll use Disney movies as an example since they're of a comparable genre, even though Disney could never in 3,000 lifetimes achieve what Studio Ghibli does.
Trash.
Anyway, Ursula gets stabbed to death, Mother Gothel falls to death, Scar is literally eaten by hyenas, Hades goes back to the underworld, Jean Yu becomes a fireworks show. I could go on, but I won't because I hate Disney. But in all of these movies, and really in pretty much any American movie you can find, there is a very clear force of evil, and it's very clear what will happen to that evil in the end. But in Princess Mononoke, who were the bad guys? Was Lady Eboshi the bad guy? She sucked pretty bad. So why didn't she die like any traditional bad guy would do in most American films? Where's the fucking closure? The movie didn't spoon feed me a neat and tidy ending, and it didn't tuck me into bed while reassuring me that good won in the end. A lot of people and animals died, and the worst, most detestable of them all, I'm looking at you, Lady Eboshi and Jigo, were alive and well at the end. Although Lady Eboshi did lose her arm, big LOL. But what the fuck? I walked away from my first viewing feeling uncomfortable and not really knowing why. Then I watched it a second time because I had already watched every other Ghibli too many times. After my second viewing, I was like, oh my god, Princess Mononoke is Godbrain. It deconstructs the very concepts of good and evil. There is no good guy because everyone has blood on their hands. The humans and the animals are equally good and bad because everyone killed each other out of anger. Then, later, I watched it a third time because I wanted to make this video on how Princess Mononoke obliterates the ideas of good and bad. But after I finished it, I sat back and I was like, well, shit, because watching it this third time made me realize that there are some definitively unbalanced dynamics to the struggle between humans and nature in this movie. It's really not as simple as everyone kills each other, so everyone is bad. To explain myself, I'll boil down the motives of each party, nature versus humans. The gods of the forest are furious and terrified because humans are encroaching on their home, the forest, without making efforts to replenish the resources they're using, and also not to mention indiscriminately murdering members of the animal community and causing them to turn into squirming vortexes of undiluted hatred. Lady Eboshi, on the other hand, wants to get very rich by making a shit ton of iron, and she has a very annoying problem on her hands called those bitches in the forest want to stay alive, but I want them dead, and also they're trees. Like, take your pick of any human motivation in this movie, and it's going to be pretty vile. The never-appearing emperor wants the deer god's head because he thinks it'll grant him immortality. Jigo and his sketchy samurai cronies are glorified bounty hunters, only in it for the thrill of the chase, money, and power. So it seems like we have a pretty reliable bad guy on our hands, actually, and it's the human race, with its greed and selfishness. The moral differences between the humans and the animals are pretty stark too, and it's pretty clear that the moral backbone of nature and its supporters is much more sturdy than that of the humans. Throughout the movie, the various animal tribes may squabble every now and then about the best way to approach the human threat, but they are explicitly never against each other. San reassures the apes that she and the wolves are on their side and are trying to help them defeat the human threat. San and the wolves join the boars as they struggle in the final encounter with the humans. The animals form a united front against their enemy. The humans, on the other hand, are a steaming shit show of betrayal and murder. Like, I don't even know where to start. I guess I could start with Lady Eboshi because, man, she is shady. She takes in all of these women and saves them from a life of prostitution, only to abandon them when the ironworks is being attacked by Asano's army. Then, she hires Jigo's sketchy samurai dudes to take down the boar army, and then proceeds to watch guiltless as Jigo's men use bombs that kill the men from her ironworks that were fighting for Eboshi. A notable exception to the humans being the force of evil rule is definitely the community of people who live at the ironworks, who, similarly to the animals in the forest, are just trying to protect each other and protect their home. So, when we're talking about the unbalanced dynamics between humans and nature, we're really talking about the morals and intentions of who is in power on each side. So, we've definitely got a force of evil going on here. We've got a bad guy, and it's the human race with its greed and selfishness. And Lady Eboshi really serves as a symbol of this force of evil. In the hands of an American director, the ending of this movie practically writes itself, right? Eboshi gets fucking wrecked by the deer god, and the deer god sends the humans running. But this is lazy and bad, and also not true to the actual human experience of living in this world. The message Mononoke delivers is actually infinitely more hopeful than good beats bad. Mononoke's message is that we are all simultaneously containing the capacity to commit acts of great violence and great kindness. It's just a question of where we turn our energy. Lady Eboshi is, of course, the poster child of this concept. She provides a livelihood and purpose for the literal lepers of society and takes women out of bad situations and treats them all with dignity and respect. But she's also incredibly prideful, vengeful, greedy, and disrespectful towards the natural world. But even so, even through all of the awful things she does in the movie, she survives to return to her people at the ironworks. In the end, clutching her bit-off stump of an arm, she realizes her mistakes and vows to build a good village. Princess Mononoke embraces the idea that humans are redeemable, that they have the potential to do much good even after making awful mistakes. And that's just reality. Life would be a lot easier if we could just point to the villains, beat the shit out of them, say hooray, and waltz off into the sunset, resting assured that bad shit will never happen again. But that's just not how people are. If we killed every single person that made a mistake or thought a bad thought or did a bad thing, we would all be dead. The absolute best that we can do is coexist with each other, knowing that all life is ultimately sacred, worth saving, working with our dual capacities to be evil and good. Without the hope that we can overcome our mistakes and become better, there is simply no hope for us humans at all. So, maybe there aren't any bad guys in Princess Mononoke. There are just human beings. If you've made it this far, thank you very, very much for sitting with me and listening to me talk about one of my favorite movies of all time from one of my favorite creators of all time from one of my favorite studios of all time. These movies, and especially Princess Mononoke, are very important to me, and I'm glad that I got to share it with you. See ya!